So the big question is this: how do you lose all the weight that you want and actually keep it off for the rest of your life, while trying to make sense of all the noise that comes from the weight loss industry? That is the question. And this podcast will give you the answers.
G'day everybody and welcome to the next episode of the Weight Loss Secrets podcast. My name is Baron Grant and I'm wrapped to have you with me for another episode where we're going to talk about all the tips and tricks and things that you need to be able to lose all the weight you want and keep it off for the rest of your life. Now, before we start, as always, my episodes are sponsored by Ditching the Diet, where you can go to ditchingthediet.com.au and learn everything you need to know to be able to make all the changes in your life that you want to lose all the weight you want and keep it off for the rest of your life. And the great place to start is head to ditchingthediet.com and grab a copy of my new book, where I uncover all the secrets that have been keeping, I guess the big companies have been keeping hidden for years so they can keep selling their silly products and help you lose weight. We don't need any products, we don't need any fancy supplements, we don't need anything like that. What we need is good nutrition, good food, and good movement every day. That's the key. All right, so today we're going to talk about fast food or junk food. And I want to break down a couple of things around it because I think it's so prevalent in our society now. We live such a world of convenience, and so fast food has become the go-to staple, I think, when people are out and about and busy on any said day. So just to start off with, when I was younger, I come from a family with 10 kids, which was awesome environment to grow up in because it was busy and it was fun, and it was, I had 6 brothers and 3 sisters, so it was a very busy, fun house. But we didn't eat much junk food, and probably because junk food wasn't as readily available as it is now. There weren't so many options, 30 years ago. There's what there is now, but probably not only that, we didn't have loads of cash to splash around. So, and feeding 10 people at McDonald's or KFC or whatever it was kind of an expensive activity. So it was not something that we ate an enormous amount, certainly when we were younger. And as I got older, it's just not been a huge part of our lives at all. So I'm not saying I never have junk food, because absolutely I do, but making choices around it and having it consistently, I would say, is something I don't do. And because it doesn't make you feel real flash, and frankly, it's really terrible for you in most situations. Now, I want to talk about a couple of different places when we talk about fast food. So because it's so readily available and you can drive through, we end up consuming more of it than ever. And I would say I see more young people now consuming fast food more than I've ever seen before in my life. Like, it's crazy. And so from things like school lunches, so many kids are having lunches from the canteen as opposed to having it made at home. I see it's a treat all the time to go out once or twice a week to have fast food, whether it's a drive-through at McDonald's or KFC or pizza. It's just so available and so easy. A lot of families have it many nights during the week, and that's why we're in the situation we are with so much obesity and so many people overweight in Australia. So, and it's the same in a lot of other Western countries as well. But I want to put some numbers to it. I don't count calories. I don't get people to count calories at all. But remember, that is the main mechanism. And if you don't remember that from other episodes, head back and listen to the episode about calories and about your basal metabolic rate, because that's the number of calories your body needs every day for basic function. The huge problem with most takeaway foods is that they are so full of calories and so full of fat and so saturated fat and so full of salt and carbohydrates that it is like the perfect storm of crapness in your body, because it just stores as fat really quickly. The extra salt makes you hold water. There's just so many negatives to this type of food. And because it normally doesn't contain a lot of protein, you end up in a situation where you can consume loads of it and then you still feel hungry afterwards. So that's the real problem. It gives a short-term energy kick and then it sort of goes away. But I want to just put it back in perspective again. When we look at how many calories we need as a general human, really our basal metabolic rate is somewhere between 1,500 and 1,700 calories a day. That's all we need. Now, I use calories more so than kilojoules. I know in Australia, there's a lot of talk around kilojoules. It's effectively 4 to 1. So 4 kilojoules to a calorie. But I just find the numbers easier to work with from a calorie perspective because that's what I look at more. So I don't normally do it from a kilojoule perspective. So don't get confused. There are two different metrics that people are equating, the value in a food. Now, when we talk takeaway food, it's so high in calories. I want to give you an example. So if you go to McDonald's and you have a Big Mac, that Big Mac will cost you 564 calories. I'm talking just for the burger. So just the burger is over 500 calories. If you want to ramp that up a little bit and have a double quarter pounder, we're talking 829 calories just for the burger. Just the burger. It's 829 calories. And then if you want to go all out and just have a Big Mac meal, that's going to cost you 1,170 calories. Now what that is, that's a Big Mac with a large fries and a large Coke. Now that's in Australia. The meals in the States, for example, are miles bigger than what they are in Australia. So in Australia, 1,170 calories. Here's the problem with that, right? And having that often at all is a huge problem because that is almost your daily intake of food. The average woman needs around about 1,500 calories a day. The average man needs about 1,650. So if you're consuming almost 1,200 calories from a meal at McDonald's, then you're in some real trouble because you eat a bag of chips after that, or you eat half an avocado, or you eat something that's high in calories as well. You're at your limit already, and that's in one meal that you're consuming the vast majority of your daily intake, which is craziness, right? So, I mean, it doesn't have to just be McDonald's either. This is not a beat up McDonald's. I'm just highlighting the calories. If you look at KFC, for example, a Zinger Box meal, which is a pretty standard meal at KFC, will cost you 1,155 calories. So huge amounts of calories. If you're a woman and you only need, say, 1,500 calories a day for basic function to stay the same weight, you're not going to lose weight at 1,500 calories a day. To stay the same weight, if you're average height, average weight, things like that, you are going to be eating, you have 300 calories left effectively if you have one of these meals. Just over 300 calories you have left in the day to not be putting weight on. That's the key, and that's where I think people forget, is that I can treat myself with this, I can treat myself with that, but we treat ourselves way too much now. I find it fascinating that people treat themselves way more now than what we did 30 years ago. Everything is a reward with food, and I often say you shouldn't reward yourself with food, you're not a dog. Well, we shouldn't use food as a reward system at all, and if we continue to use it as a convenience because it's there and it's available, we just get ourselves in trouble. Remember, around about 7,700 calories equals about 1 kilo of weight. And so for you to be able to lose weight, you're going to need to get 7,700 calories, roughly 7,700 calories in deficit to lose that kilo. It takes a lot of effort to be able to get your calories low enough to be able to lose that. So for me, don't put that crap in to start, because if you do, you're on the back foot. And if you want to look at the exercise value you'll need to do to burn off a meal at McDonald's, it's pretty crazy. So if you go and do a hard workout at the gym, I've mentioned this before, you might burn 450 or 500 calories in an hour of work, right? You eat one Big Mac, you are eating more than your ability to expend in an hour, and that Big Mac takes you 1 minute to eat. If you eat a whole meal, you need to do over 2 hours, maybe 2 to 2.5 hours of exercise to be able to work off that one meal. And if we're really honest with ourselves, are we really doing 2.5 hours of exercise to work off that one meal every single time we have a takeaway? I certainly don't think we are. And so that's the big challenge here. You've got to keep your calories low enough to be able to lose weight. And as soon as you eat any of this sort of stuff, you're in trouble. And from a weight gain perspective, remember, if 7,700 calories is what you need, or equals about 1 kilo, if you simply eat only 500 calories a day over your basal metabolic rate, so over that number that you've got, right, which is about 1,500, somewhere around that, 1,100, you eat one bag of chips, which is about 500 calories, or half a block of Cadbury chocolate, 4 lines of it, or you eat one burger at McDonald's, you'll put on half a kilo a week, because that's 500 extra a day. So over the course of the week, you'll put on half a kilo. That's how easy it comes on. And you've got to work to get that off. So I want you to think about how often you're eating fast food or takeaway. Remember that yes, it's convenient, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's convenient. And I have these conversations with people all the time. They say, yeah, but Baron, I'm out and about and I don't have time. I'm like, you can always have time to make something earlier. Maybe you've got to get up earlier, or you've got to be a bit more organized during the week before getting to the weekends. Whenever it is that your weak point is to go and eat this crap food. But when you go to eat that, it doesn't matter the situation. It doesn't matter if you're busy or you've got no time or whatever the reason is. Remember, the reason is irrelevant, because you eat that, you're going to gain weight. That is just the way it is, because it's not that it's just high in calories. It's high in all the wrong types of calories. Remember, carbohydrates and sugar store as fat faster. The saturated fat is just bad for your body. You look at all of these different elements of it that are just no good. The high salt makes you hold more water. There's not really much good in any of that stuff. Don't convince yourself that because there's a bit of lettuce in it, it makes it okay. It's not great. So my takeaway for you guys today is I want you to think about how often you're having takeaway or fast food. Is it a weekly thing? Is it a daily thing? Some of you, it might be a daily thing. I want to say this, and this might be upsetting to some people, but lots of things I say seem to be. If it's a daily thing, that is way too much. If it is a weekly thing, that is still too much. Because if you're overweight, it's always because of what we've put in our mouths, and that is a really easy one that you can chop out. Do we actually need it? Can we just take an extra few minutes and create something? Worst case scenario, if you're really struggling, just go to Coles or Woolies and grab a cooked chook. That is a better option, and grab a salad to go. They're all pre-made. You can literally grab them. Grab a salad and grab a cooked chook. That is a way better option than going to McDonald's or KFC or any of those fast foods that are just going to blow out your calorie numbers and blow out your carbs and blow out your sugar and blow out everything. So keep it in perspective. If you have one of those meals, one of those big meals, you're consuming more if you're trying to lose weight, you're consuming more than you should consume in a whole day. And even if you're not trying to lose weight, you're eating 3/4 of the amount of food you should be eating for the whole day. So the challenge is, can you cut down your fast food? I could do one of these episodes for every single different fast food place on the planet, because most of them are extremely high in calories, right? Now, one more point just before I finish. I remember I was at a Porto one time, and by the way, Porto has fantastic chicken salads, so good place to go if you do want to get a quick meal. But I was looking up there, and it had the average daily intake of an Australian, and it was, I can't remember the exact number, but it was over 8,000 kilojoules a day. That was the average intake. Keep in mind that just because people spruik the average intake doesn't mean that that's a healthy intake. That's the average intake of what people are eating, hence the reason why 70% of Australia is overweight, because over 8,000 kilojoules a day, we're talking over 2,000 calories a day. You're not losing weight at that point. There's no way at that point are you losing weight unless you're extremely, extremely heavy. So just because it says something somewhere that the average daily intake is this and their meals are this, the average daily intake is too much. That's the problem, and that's why society in Australia is extremely overweight. Let's make good choices about our food. I want you to take stock of your fast food intake or your takeaway food intake right now. Can you chop it down a little bit? Can you reduce it a little bit? Every little change like that will make a huge difference on the scales and your ability to stay a healthy weight. Good luck with it. You got this. Make some good choices. We'll talk tomorrow.